Yeah, let me start with the prayers and then we'll do the full. Om Gyantinandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurube Nama Shri Chaitanya Manopishtam Sapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yota Padkamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamsha Shrirupam Sagrajatam Sahagaraghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Saranalita Shri Vishakha Vidamsha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंदा Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So, these are our standard prayers which we recite as the mercy which we get in reading this, understanding this, we get from our acharyas, from Guru Parampara, and therefore we remember them before starting each of our class. So, in last class, we saw in chapter number 2, from verse number 1 to 7, how Arjuna is saying his fifth reason of his being indecisive, that he does not know what is right and what is wrong. And at the end, he says that to Krishna that now we are not friends, I am your student and you are my guru. So this will be the relationship going forward. So please tell me what is the right way to do things. So please instruct me. This was the last, the verse which we saw, verse number 7. And here further he continues that what is this situation? Nahi prapashyami mamapanudhyadyan yachokam uchchoshanam indriyam avapya bhumau asapatyam radham rajam suranam vichadipatyam. So he's saying no, do not. Certainly, he certainly. Prapashyami, I see. Mama, my. Apunadyad, can drive away. Yat, that which. Shokam, lamentation. Uchchoshanam, drying up. Indriyanam, of the senses. Avapya, achieving. Bhumau, on the earth. Asapatnyam, without rival. Riddham, prosperous. Rajyam, kingdom. Suranam, of the demigods. Api, even. Cha, also. Adhipatyam, supremacy. I can find no means to dry away this grief which is drying up my senses. I will not able to dispel it even if I win a prosperous, unrivaled kingdom on earth with sovereignty like that of the demigods in heaven. So, if you see, when there's a crisis like this which Arjuna is facing, sometimes we have spiritual crisis, sometimes material crisis. That time, opulences or prosperity doesn't help us. Because here, Arjuna is saying the grief which I am carrying will not be dispelled even if I win prosperous, unrivaled kingdom on earth with sovereignty that of the king demigods in heaven. So, being rich, being prosperous does not mean that one is wise. Wise is a different, altogether different thing than having all these things. And therefore, if we see in today's world, when people who are not wise become rich, then they cause havoc in the society. And therefore, in the previous ages, education was not based on how rich you are, but was based on what type of quality you have. If you are a person with good quality, you can have education free of cost. But if you are a person who does not have that quality to be a student, you will not be given the education. And therefore, education was based on Dharma and karma. What are you be born in which family and what are your qualities? If it matches, then you are allowed to have education in that category, otherwise limited education. And not everyone was educated in that sense. They were given the education of that need, what was needed for them to survive and to grow. Although Arjuna was putting forward so many arguments based on knowledge of the principles of religion and moral codes, it appears that he was unable to solve his real problem without the help of spiritual master Lord Sri Krishna. So Arjuna had knowledge, and he had knowledge of religion also and moral codes also. But when the real problem came, there was a need of spiritual master, Lord Sri Krishna, who came to help him to solve the problems. So, if in the real life situation also, we need a guide, a mentor to solve our problems, without which, even if we have all the knowledge of the world, it is not easy to solve the problems. And therefore, in the world where social media is so active, where YouTube and all is active, so many people today find their solution to the problems on YouTube and other things. But this actually doesn't work, because in YouTube you have so many different varieties of things and you don't know what will apply to you. It's like if you are sick, you don't know whether you have typhoid or you have malaria or you have viral or what type of fever you have. But you go to a chemist and tell me, give me some medicine for the fever. Actually, it doesn't work, because the doctor can check and tell what exact disease you have. And you cannot get this knowledge by referring to so many books and all. It is not so easy. Unless somebody has mastered that, it's not easy. And therefore here also, Arjuna is not able to solve his problems without the help of Krishna. He could understand that his so-called knowledge was useless in driving away his problems, which were drying up his whole existence. And it was impossible for him to solve such perplexities without the help of a spiritual master like Lord Krishna. Academic knowledge, scholarship, high position, etc., are all useless in solving the problems of life. Help can be given only by a spiritual master like Krishna. So one may be very much accomplished in the material knowledge. One may be a PhD, a doctor, a scientist, an engineer, whatever big degree he may have. He may have so much scholarship, he may have so many degrees. He may be in a high position in society. He may be a chairman, a trustee in a big company, a CEO or COO, CFO, whatever it may be. So big position may be there, big knowledge may be there, everything may be there, but they're all useless in solving the real problems of life. They cannot help you in solve the real problems of life. And help can be given only by spiritual master like Krishna. Nobody can help in that times. And therefore, the conclusion is that spiritual master who is 1%, 100% Krishna conscious is a bona fide spiritual master, for he can solve the problems of life. So only spiritual master can solve the problem of life. But what is the quality of spiritual master? That is also to be taken care of. Nobody should become a spiritual master. Nobody can become a spiritual master if he is not Krishna consciousness. So if his conscious is not in Krishna, he cannot become a spiritual master. And such a spiritual master can only solve the problems of life. Lord Chaitanya said that one who is a master in the science of Krishna consciousness, regardless of his social position, is a real spiritual master. So the qualification of one to become a spiritual master is that how much Krishna conscious he is. And it may be that socially he may not be in a very good position. He may be of very low caste, maybe low birth, or his education, his job profile may be very low. He may be a cook, or he may be a taxi driver or something. But if he is Krishna consciousness, then he can become a spiritual master. So kiba vipra, kiba nyasri, shudra kenanaya, ye Krishna tattva veti, say guru hai. It does not matter whether a person is a vipra, learned scholar in Vedic wisdom, or is born in a lower family, or is in the renowned sort of life. He is the he if he is in the he is master in the science of Krishna. He is perfect and bona fide spiritual master. So birth doesn't matter whether one is born in a higher family or lower family, or ashram doesn't matter whether one is brahmachari, grahastha, or brahmanprastha or sannyas, whatever ashram he may be, whatever birth he has taken. If he is a master in the science of Krishna, he knows what is the science of Krishna, the whole science, then he's perfect in a bona fide spiritual master. Otherwise, he's not. So without being a master in the science of Krishna consciousness, no one is a bona fide spiritual master. It's also said in the Vedic literature, Satkarma Nipuna Vipro, Mantra Tantra Visharada, Avaishnavo Guru Nasyad, Vaishnava Sapacha Guru. A scholarly Brahmana, expert in all subjects of Vedic knowledge, is unfit to become a spiritual master without being a Vaishnava or expert in the science of Krishna consciousness. But a person born in a family of a lower caste can become a spiritual master if he is a Vaishnava or Krishna conscious. So, a person may be very much Brahmana, very scholarly Brahmana, very person, and he's expert in the subjects of Vedic knowledge, but he cannot become a spiritual master. So we see this classic case in the Srimad Bhagavatam 10th canto, the Brahmanas and the Brahman Patnis. So the Brahmanas were very, very scholar, they were very highly educated, and their wives were not so educated, and they were doing the household chores. But when Krishna sent his friends for asking some food to be given to Krishna, the Brahmanas, the Vedic scholars, did not give anything. And they were doing the yajna, they were doing the whole thing to please Krishna only. And in the yajna, they had prepared a huge feast. But after even doing the yajna for Krishna, preparing a huge feast for Krishna, when Krishna sent his friends for asking very little food for them because they were hungry, the Brahmanas did not even look at them. Whereas the same friends, when they went to the Brahman Patnis, the wives of the Brahmanas who were not so educated and who were hearing Krishna Katha in the market, because in Vrindavan, Mathura, what used to happen in the marketplaces, when the women used to meet other women, they would say, today Krishna did this, today Krishna killed Putana, today Krishna stole butter. So these were the common talks. Their common talks used to revolve around Krishna only. That was the thing they used to do. They used to make songs for Krishna. They would sing bhajans. And that would be in local language, not so much scholarly, but very local language. From their heart, they would sing something like this, and they would do all the course like this. And in this way, they used to spend their days. And this Brahman Patnis used to hear all the things from so many ladies who had come from Vrindavan to sell their chas, butter, and all these things. So the ladies from Vrindavan would come to Mathura to sell something, and to different places. And this Brahman Patnis who were staying nearby used to hear all these things from them, and from there they developed Krishna consciousness. So by hearing, they developed so much faith in Krishna that when Krishna's friend came and told that the Krishna has come and he's hungry, the Brahman Patnis, whatever they had cooked for the yajna, took everything for the Krishna. And even the Brahmanas tried to stop them, but the Brahman Patnis were unstoppable. And this is how we see how eventually the Brahmanas understood their mistake and they accepted the Brahman Patnis as a spiritual master. And Like this, there are so many cases in history, like Haridas Thakur. So Haridas Thakur is born in a family of a Muslim, but he is called a Namacharya, and he gives the Naam to everybody. And there are so many people who are born in highly educated people. Like there was Gopal Chapal, who was born in a Brahmana, but he was criticizing Haridas Thakur, and eventually he got so much disease. So um, the main thing is we should be Krishna consciousness, and that should be the criteria of the position of a person in the spiritual ladder, and not the material qualifications. Because eventually, as the life goes, as the life ends, the material qualification will end, but the spiritual qualification will grow. So at the end of life, if somebody is a PhD, if he's born again next life, he has to again start from first standard, second standard, all. Nobody will say that he was PhD in the last life, and so that he can now write the thesis and all. No. But if one is his Krishna consciousness, we see in Bhagavatam, Jad Bharat. So in his last life was Bharat Maharaj, and his Krishna consciousness grew. Chitraketu Maharaj, in the next life, he became Vitrasur. He got a body of demon, but in that also, if we see, his spiritual growth was visible, and he could instruct even Indra. And his prayers, the four prayers which he has spoken in Srimad Bhagavatam, is so famous. So this point, we should note it very nicely and should understand that the qualities of a person is spiritual consciousness, is his Krishna consciousness, which is more important than his material qualifications. So the problems of material existence, birth, old age, disease, and death cannot be counteracted by accumulation of wealth and economic development. So the major problems in life have no material solutions. We should be very much aware of these things and convinced of these things, like birth, old age, disease, and death. We can just, by all the medical facilities which we have now and which will be there in the future, we may be able to increase the life period by some days or something. That also is in the hands of Krishna. But otherwise, these problems cannot be counteracted by accumulation of wealth and economic development. So the more we become economically developed, we'll face more of these diseases. The more we have wealth, we'll have more of these diseases. Because the wealth and economic development cannot help us counteract this all things. And therefore, we see lots of cancer patients are increasing, lots of diabetes, and so many patients are increasing nowadays. And they are facing certain death. We may give them medicine, so many things, but after taking the medicine also, the disease do not are not lessened, they are increased. If we see the history, because of side effect of one disease, another disease come, then third disease. And in this way, within few years, if we see any person, he has to take so many medicines for so many diseases like BP, diabetes, and after diabetes, there is kidney failure. And there are so many line wise, if we see the medicine only increase, there is no decrease. And therefore, we should be very much aware that in life, we may not be able to solve so many of the problems in life, and we will have to be just increase our spiritual consciousness in order to deal with their problems, which are going to stay with us for the lifetime. In many parts of the world, there are states which are replete with the facilities of life, which are full of wealth and economically developed. Yet the problems of material existence are still present. They are seeking peace in different ways, but they can achieve real happiness only if they consult Krishna or the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, which constitute the signs of Krishna through the bona fide representative of Krishna, the man in Krishna consciousness. So we see so many parts of the world, there are a lot of economic facilities, there are a lot of wealth, but yet the problems are present. And not only problems are present, they are ever increasing. If we see the current generation, the way they are addicted to different things, social media, the way they are addicted, it's far more dangerous than even taking cigarettes or alcohol, which anyways are problems in today's world, which youth are facing. But the more they are economically developed, the more problems they are facing. This we can see now in today's world. And this can be only solved by consulting Krishna or Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam. So these are the only methods of solving the real problems of life. Otherwise, one may say that this will solve, that will solve the problem, but really nothing can solve the real problems. If economic development and material comforts could dry away one's lamentation for family, social, national, or international inabilities, then Arjuna would not have said that even an unrivaled kingdom on earth, a supremacy like that of the demigods in heavenly planets, would be unable to dry away his lamentations. So, economic development and material comforts cannot dry away one's lamentation for family, social, or national things. So, in this episode, also, if we see, Arjuna had the skill, but there was a problem with the will. He was very much, he had fought so many battles before also in the Virat kingdom. He alone had fought with all the Kauravas and was victorious. And like this, he had fought with Indra, he had fought with in the heavenly planets, he had fought with Shivji. And every time he had pleased them, he had defeated so many of them. But here, he was not willing because he had this material limitations. And this were not being able to be solved by any material things. And therefore, he sought therefore refuge in Krishna consciousness, and that is the right path for peace and harmony. So if somebody needs real peace and harmony, then this is only the right path. Other things will not help. Economic development or supremacy over the world can be finished at any moment by the catalysms of material nature. So again, even if somebody may think that economic development will help, but the material nature will finish it off in seconds. Like if there is some earthquake, there is some cyclone, whatever material development we do, whatever big bungalows, big cities we make, it will all be destroyed. Like we know Sri Lanka is one of the heaven in the material world. It's lot of beauty and so much tourism was coming. But we know within some time back what happened there. And like this, in all the parts of the world, if we see the nature, which is so replete, there are so heavenly places, but if we see, they are finished within some moments. And therefore, it cannot help. Even elevation into the higher planetary situation, as men are now seeking on the moon planet, can also be finished at one stroke. The Bhagavad Gita confirms this. Shine punye mritye marte lokam vishanti. When the results of past activities are finished, one falls down again from the peak of happiness to the lower status of life. Many politicians of the world have fallen down in that way. Such downfalls only constitute more causes for lamentations. So even if somebody is on a high planet, he is going to the moon planet, still one cannot guarantee this will continue forever. Because one can enjoy only till the time his punya is there. Once his punya is finished, once his past results are finished, again one falls down from the peak of happiness. So we have seen so many politicians rise in the material world and again they fall down. So many people in the material world we see they become famous within no time and again after some time they are not to be known in this world because the punya is over. And we see many persons in the world have fallen this way and they become they have more lamentation. And afterwards, they strive so hard to regain their position, but they cannot because their punya is over. Therefore, if we want to curb lamentation for good, then we have to take shelter of Krishna as Arjuna is seeking to do. So Arjuna asked Krishna to solve the problems definitely, and that is the way of Krishna consciousness. So if we want to actually curb lamentation, we have to take shelter of Krishna as Arjuna is seeking to do. And Arjuna wanted to solve his problem definitely and not temporarily, and therefore he took to Krishna consciousness. And in this today's time, it's very easy to become Krishna consciousness. We have to just take the holy names of Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And it's so simple, even a child can take, and even a person at any age of their life can start his Krishna consciousness journey, and therefore can solve the real problems of life. Otherwise, one may go through so many things, but will be just lamenting, and no solution will come. So now Sanjaya is narrating the situation to us, what is happening. Sanjaya Vacha Evamukta Rishikesham Gudakesha Parandapa Nayotsa iti Govindam Uktva Tushnim Babuvaha. Sanjaya Vacha, Sanjaya said, Evam, thus, Uktva speaking, Rishikesham unto Krishna, the master of senses, Gudakesha, Arjuna, the master of curbing ignorance, Parantapa, the chastiser of the enemies, Na Yotse, I will not fight, iti thus, Govindam, unto Krishna, the giver of pleasure to the senses, Uktva saying Tushnim, silent, Bahuva, became he certainly. Translation, Sanjay said, having spoken this, Arjuna, chastiser of enemy, told Krishna, O Govinda, I shall not fight, and fell silent. So now, after speaking elaborately so much things, ultimately Arjuna is saying to Krishna that I will not fight. So what is the use of so much knowledge, so much valor, if one is not able to perform any action in life? And today we see in this life, so many people have so much potential, so many people have so much wealth, so many people have everything, caliber everything. But if we see their life, they are not able to do anything because there is no guide in their life. And because of no guidance, and they're not able to do anything, and so much of wealth, so much of human resources are not being used in any way, because they are not finding the real solution in life. And so many people are literally wasting their lives by taking to so many drug addictions and so many other things. So instead of using the energy in the right cause, because of not finding real solutions, not finding guides, and in the colleges and universities in today's times, not many are giving this education, the basic education which was there before. Before even British came, there were gurukuls. So there were around 2 lakh plus gurukuls in which the basic education was given before. And because of this, if we see today's time, so many people are misdirected in so many ways. And the most prestigious universities, IITs, IIM, they have the most suicidal rates. If we see the history of last few years, there are so many suicide done by these people who are financially good, who are educationally very good. They are the leaders of today's world, if we see, and they are guiding others, but they are committing suicide. So such is the situation in all over the world, and especially in India nowadays, because of lack of this education. And therefore, there's a dire need which Srila Prabhupada is speaking in so many of his purports, and he has practically given this, that without spiritual foundation, the material society cannot build their whole building. So if a building we see, if the foundation is not good, and if we have the building of even 3-4 floors, it can fall down at any moment. But if the foundation is very strong, then if the building is made of even 21st floors or 30 floors or 40 floors, it can stay for a long, long time to come, because the foundation is strong. And therefore, without the foundation of spiritual knowledge, whatever material success we get cannot stay long with us. That we should be very sure of. And if we see now the big tycoons of even in India now, the families, they hold Srimad Bhagavatam class every day. The Ambani families and so many other families, they have the dedicated pandits who uh, recite Bhagavatam every day because they know that by having this spiritual foundation, they will even get material prosperity. And this is the way in which so many of the big houses are being run. I don't know about the future generation, but the present are still doing. So Dhritarashtra must have been very glad to understand that Arjuna was not going to fight and was interested leaving the battlefield for the begging profession. But Sanjaya disappointed him again in relating that Arjuna was competent to kill his enemies, Parantapa. Although Arjuna was for the time being overwhelmed with false grief due to family affection, he surrendered unto Krishna, the supreme spiritual master, as a disciple. This indicated that he would soon be free from the false lamentation resulting from family affection and would be enlightened with perfect knowledge of self-realization or Krishna consciousness and would then surely fight. Thus, Dhritarashtra's joy would be frustrated since Arjuna would be enlightened by Krishna and would fight to the end. So, when Dhritarashtra was hearing this, he thought that now Arjuna will say, I will not fight. And in this way, his sons will be winning the kingdom. But here, Sanjay is disappointing Dhritarashtra by telling him that do not worry, because Arjuna has surrendered to Krishna, soon he will be freed from false lamentation and soon he will be enlightened in perfect knowledge. And then he will surely fight. And therefore, if we see the words used for Arjuna here is Gudakesha. What do Gudakesh mean? Gudakesh means one who has conquered ignorance or sleep. So, Arjuna would not sleep at night when he was practicing his military skills. So, Dronacharya would teach him in the day and Arjuna would practice in the night and make it perfect. So therefore, he was known as Gudakesh. So he had perfected his skills. He would not sleep. He had conquered sleep. Or in other sense, he had conquered ignorance. And therefore, very soon, he will conquer all the ignorance which is there now. And his Parantapa. Parantapa means he's a chastiser of enemy. He will not leave his enemy at any time. So now he may not be, he's not fighting, but very soon he will fight. And he will fight in a way which will be very disturbing for all others. So do not worry. This will definitely happen. So this is what Sanjaya is communicating to Dhritarashtra. And further is saying in the verse number 10, Tamuvacha Rishikesha prasanna iha bharata senayor bhayor madhye vishitantam idam vacha. Tam, unto him, Vacha said, Rishikesha, the master of the senses, Krishna, Prahasan smiling, even like that Bharata, O Dhritarashtra, descendant of the Bharata, Senayo of the armies, Ubhayo of both parties, Madhye, between, Vishidantam unto the lamenting one, idem the following vacha words. Translation. O descendant of Bharata, at that time Krishna, smiling in the midst of both the armies, spoke the following words to the grief-stricken Arjuna. So now, Arjuna will start speak. Arjuna has stopped speaking, and Krishna will start speaking. And now, Krishna will one by one defeat all the arguments given by Arjuna. And now, the real philosophy will start. So the talk was going on between intimate friends, namely the Rishikesh and the Gudakesh. As friends, both of them were on the same level, but one of them voluntarily became a student of the other. Krishna was smiling because a friend had chosen to become a disciple, As Lord of all, he is always in the superior position as the master of everyone. And yet the Lord agrees to be a friend, a son, or a lover for a devotee who wants him in such a role. But when he was accepted as the master, he at once assumed the role and talked with his disciple like the master, with gravity as it is required. It appears that the talk between the master and the disciple was openly exchanged in the presence of both armies, so that all were benefited. So the talks of Bhagavad Gita are not for any particular person, society, or community, but they are for all, and friends or enemies are equally entitled to hear them. So now, what has happened is the friendship relation is being gone between Krishna and Arjuna, and Arjuna is becoming a student of Krishna, and Krishna is speaking the philosophy. So in life also now, we have to wear many hats. In one time, we may become friends in some situation, we become superior in some situation, and we may have to become junior in some situation. I'll give you one example. There was a person who would play the, what do you say, the guitar or something, and he used to teach a very, very highly spiritual person. So this spiritual person was the guide of the person who was teaching him to play guitar. So when they would meet the first time, the person who was expert in guitar would offer his obeisances to his spiritual master who was guiding in spiritual way. After some time, what used to happen is this person who used to play guitar used to teach the spiritual mentor, and then they would change the roles, and then the spiritual master would pay his obeisance to the person who is expert in guitar. So in this way, there was a very nice coordination between both of them, and they knew what to take from each other and where and how to give respect for what they are. So in life also, we may have to play different roles, and in some times somebody is superior and somebody, and other times the same person may be equal to us. So here, if we see Arjuna and Krishna are friends, they are on equal level in one sense, but after some time, Krishna is becoming the master and they are changing the roles. This is one important thing to note. Second thing we have to note here is that the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita was openly exchanged in presence of both the armies, and so that all are benefited. So this knowledge of Bhagavad Gita is applicable, is useful for all the people to come from all the walks of life. Maybe they may be any person from any religion. They may be Hindu, Muslim, Sikh, Christian, or anything. Everybody can benefit from Bhagavad Gita. There is no single shloka in Bhagavad Gita which speaks about Hindu, Muslim, Christian, or Jain, anything. There is no shloka. Bhagavad Gita is a book of principles. If you do like this, you will get this. If you do like this, you will get like this results. So it's a book of practical living the life, and therefore it is useful for each and every person in life. There is no person in this world who will not benefit from Bhagavad Gita. Means every person in this world will benefit from Bhagavad Gita. We should understand this, and therefore the talks of Bhagavad Gita are not for particular person, society, or community, but they are for all, and friends or enemies are equally entitled to hear him. So we should give this opportunity to each and every person who has a genuine interest to read Bhagavad Gita, to understand Bhagavad Gita. We should make some arrangement for them to read and understand. Or at least there should be an option given for people who want to understand this philosophy. This one option should be given so that they can take benefit of this book. Because if we go further also now, we'll understand how these principles are built and how they are useful in our day-to-day life. The principle of how we are not this body but spirit soul, the principle of how to work in this material life, the principle of whom to give charity, how to see Krishna in different ways. So these all are applicable to everybody in this material world, and thus how to become peaceful in this life, how to overcome anger, depression, and so many other things is all been explicitly explained in Bhagavad Gita. And we should take advantage of it, we should take benefit of this, and we should give it to as many people as we can, so that overall the society is peaceful and we can also enjoy. Like if in the society, if majority are not peaceful, then what will happen is they will pass on their problems to us. Like suppose we are living in a society where majority people are speaking truth, they are honest, they are not doing any thievery, they are not cheating or lying, then overall we are happy, na? We'll also have benefit. But if the whole society there are cheaters, there are people who are thievery, then we are also so much worried that something will happen to us, and we are always constantly in worry. And therefore, if we see in big cities, in big places where there is a lot of economic development, people are more and more unsatisfied. If we see the happiness index, the happiness index is very low. Why? Because there's constantly threat for their existence, for their survival. Somebody may kill them, somebody may beat them, somebody may cause unnecessary anxiety to them. It's constant problems. And therefore, the more we give this knowledge to others, the more happier we will also become. And now, Krishna is going to start his lesson number 1. So this is from verse number 11 to 30. So this 2.11 to verse 2.30 is the first theme or the first lesson which Krishna is going to give to Arjuna. So let us see what Krishna has to say. Shri Bhagwan Uvacha Asocyan Anvasocasvam Prajnavadam Cha Bhasase Gatasum na gatasum cha nanusochanti pandita. Shri Bhagavan Vacha, the Supreme Personality of Godhead says, Asocyan, not worthy of lamentation. Anvasocha, you are lamenting. Tvam, you. Prajnavadams, learned talks. Cha also. Bhashase, speaking. Gata, lost. Asun, life. Agata, not past. Asun, life. Cha also, na, never. Anusochanti, lament. Pandita, the learned. Translation. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, while speaking learned words, you are mourning for what is not worthy of grief. Those who are wise lament neither for the living nor for the dead. So now, Krishna in the first sloka itself is chastising Arjuna. And he's saying that while you're speaking learned words, you're speaking as if you are very learned, but you are mourning for something which is not worthy for grief. So you are showing your grief where you should not show grief. And if you are really wise, then you will not lament for something who is living or dead. And this will explain further in so many shlokas what does it mean, he mean by this. So purport, the Lord at once took the position of a teacher and chastised the student, calling him indirectly a fool. So a teacher may chastise the student and may tell that you are a fool or anything. And if he's a real student, he will not take it in a negative way. Because in today's society and times, if the teacher says something like this, the student will either run away or make a complaint in the whole thing. And there'll be a videos which are viral. And therefore, if we see now, The teachers also do not speak the real truth to any students till they know that they are surrendered. Most of the teachers will speak very flattery words, very good. Do not worry, everything will be okay, fine. Like this, they will speak. They will not tell the real thing because they know if they speak the real thing, the students will run away, or even nowadays, they will go on all the social media and complain like anything. And therefore, if we see in today's social media, there's lot of negativity, lot of things which is spoken against so many uh, organizations one after the other. And this is not a healthy situation at all. The Lord said, you are talking like a learned man, but you do not know that one who is learned, one who knows what is body and what is soul, does not lament for any stage of the body, neither in the living nor in the dead condition. So Krishna is telling Arjuna. So this will all come in further verses. Prabhupada is giving here a hint beforehand only that what is going to come. So he's saying that you are talking like a learned man, but you do not know what is difference between body and soul. So one who knows the difference between body and soul does not lament at any stage of the body, neither in the living nor in the dead condition. So as I explained in the later chapters, it will be clear that knowledge means to know matter and spirit and the controller of both. So this is a real knowledge. If we want, what is the real knowledge? So if we see further also, if Krishna is saying that what is knowledge? So knowledge means all the qualities which we want to have. Knowledge means he knows that who he is, who Krishna is, and what is the relation between both of them. So this is a real knowledge. And this we should know. Arjuna argued that religious principles should be given more importance than politics or sociology, but did not know that the knowledge of the matter, soul, and the supreme is even more important than religious formalities. And because he was lacking in that knowledge, he should not have posed himself as a very learned man. So Arjuna was showing himself as very learned, but he did not know the difference between matter and soul, and therefore he should not have posed himself as being learned. This is what is being told. As he did not happen to be a very learned man, he was consequently lamenting for something which was unworthy of lamentation. The body is born and is destined to be vanquished today or tomorrow. Therefore, the body is not important not as important as the soul. One who knows this is actually learned, and for him there is no cause for lamentation, regardless of the condition of the material body. So, material body and spirit soul, what is important in our life will define what way we will go in our life. So for a materialist person, his material body is so important that he will day and night work for them and will gain so many material comforts and so many things. But for a spiritualist, his soul is much more important. And therefore, whatever time he gets, he will dedicate his time in searching for the answers for his spiritual journey. Because ultimately, the soul will remain and the body will die. So, soul is more important than the body, and therefore, like if we see, the soul is compared to a driver, and the body is compared to a car. So you may keep the car in excellent condition, but it will not work till the time the driver is there. So this body, if you give all the comforts and facilities, it will not work till the time soul is there. And if the soul leaves, the body is of no use. And therefore, at the last time of the life, we say Ram Nam Satya. But if it could speak this sentence before and could do something more, then it would be very much beneficial. So material comforts are needed, necessary, but only to a certain point of time, only in certain conditions. So more than that are actually harmful. Like I will give you one example. In today's world, people are acquiring bigger and bigger places for them to stay. So if 1 BHK is enough, still people say, I want 2 BHK, 3 BHK, 4 BHK. Why? If somebody guest comes, if my children grow up, and there are so many reasons to be given. But what happens with this is they have to take a lot of EMIs to pay for the house. And today's, if we see the compare in Mumbai rates, 1-2 CR are nothing. It's like peanuts to have this one. But the salary of a person will not be much more. And then the maintenance charges, if we stay in the society, the all the bills and all. So what happens is, if the person is earning even 1 lakh, 2 lakh a month, most of this money is going for EMI. So to have that material comforts of 2 BHK, 3 BHK, whatever it is, he has to work hard. And he has to work for 12 hours, 14 hours, 16 hours in a day. And at last, what is he using the home for? Just for going to sleep. Because actually, he cannot enjoy that house because he has to pay the EMI. And therefore, he has to work whole day for the hard work for the EMIs, for the loans and all. And in the last, when he's really at the stage where he has paid the EMI and everything, his age is crossed beyond 50, 60, and his body doesn't help. So what can he enjoy? And then he is Tantan Gopal because he has given all his money for EMI, he has no savings. So again, he has to work hard for his old age. And then there is education loan for his children. He has to, and he has given the same education to them. Live king size. What you are living king size life? You're working for the company, you're working for the banks. The banks are living the king size life because they are giving you loans and their income is passive. You are working for them to do all things. So people do not recognize this thing that they are purchasing this home so that they can live peacefully. But the whole life, they are struggling hard just for maintaining themselves. So today, if we see the expenses are increased so much, it's actually not the standard of, it's not the actual, the expenses are, the prices are increased. More than the prices, the expectation of people are increased so much that is causing the real trouble. And if people use only what they need, eventually what will happen, the price of property will come down, the price of commodities will come down, and eventually everyone will benefit. But what we do is today, we hoard everything. If we need 2 kilo, we take 10 kgs, or tomorrow if there's some scarcity. And like this, everybody takes more, the prices shoot up like anything. And eventually everybody has to pay more for all the commodities to come and for all the things to come. And therefore, the prices of so many commodities are increasing day by day. And eventually, who is going to suffer? We are only going to suffer because we have to pay the prices for. And therefore, if we see, the soul is very important. If people use what they need and utilize their time for spiritual practices for their soul, actually they will be more happy and they will have real peace of mind because they will understand why they are unhappy and what are the causes of lamentation. And this way they will solve the real problems of life. And therefore, this is the path which everybody should take. It's not an optional path. It's a compulsory path if one wants to become happy, one wants to live a long life, and if one wants to really contribute to the society. Then this is the only life which can help. Other all things will eventually cause troubles. I will give you many examples. Like before, we are having trouble with traveling. So traveling was very much difficult because of bullock cart and so many things. So we invented so many vehicles and all these things. And today we have so many cars, luxurious cars and everything, so many facilities. But again, we are stuck in traffic jam. So many hours go in the traffic jams. And again, our travel is slow. So these vehicles had come to solve a problem, but it is creating a bigger problem now. The parking problem, the pollution problem, and so many problems it is creating. So what is happening is one solution is creating another problem. Like this, if we see all the medicines today which we are taking will cause some side effect, which is solve one problem but cause other problem. So like this, whatever material prosperity we have, whatever material things we do, eventually it will not solve the real problems of life. And therefore, one should eventually devote his time to spiritual practices. Whatever time we may have, somebody may have 15 minutes, somebody may have half hour. Whatever time he should start somewhere in his life, and eventually, when he is retired, 50, 60, he should devote his whole time and energy to his spiritual practices. And this way, he should perfect his life. But one should not age for the old age, because so many people say that bhakti karna, Bhagwan ka naam lila, ye to budhape mein hona chahiye. Are in the old age, you cannot speak properly. You have so many issues. You cannot walk properly. How will you take the Lord's name? Suppose if something is offered to the Lord, it should be fresh. We offer fresh flowers to the Lord. Suppose we eat something, we eat fresh. We eat the best. And therefore, the best should be offered to the Lord, not the last thing. Because that will not give anything, any tangible result actually. So we should strive from wherever we know, whatever time we know, and not wait till the end of life. So let's see verse number 12. न त्वयेवाहं जातु नाशं न त्वं नेमे जनाधिपा न चैवा न भविष्यामः सर्ववयम् अतः परम्. Na, never, to, but, eva, certainly, aham, I, jatu, at any time, na, did not, asam, exist, no, not, etvam, you, na, not, ime, all this, janadipa, kings, na, never, cha, also, eva, certainly, not, na, not, bhavishyama, shall exist, sarve, vayam, all of us, atha, para, hereafter. Transition. Nor was there a time when I did not exist, nor you, nor all these kings, nor in any future shall any of us cease to be. So Krishna is now starting the philosophical part. He's saying that none of the people at any time was there that they were not existing, and nor in the future there will be any time they will not exist. So they were there before, they are there now, and they will exist forever. Purport: in the Vedas, in the Katha Upanishad, as well as the Svetashara Upanishad, it is said that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the maintainer of innumerable living entities in terms of their different situations according to the individual work and reaction of work. That Supreme Personality of Godhead is also by his plenary portions alive in the heart of every living entity. Only saintly persons who can see within and without the same Supreme Lord can actually attain to perfect eternal peace. So, in Vedas it is said that Supreme Personality of Godhead is the maintainer of all numerable living entities. So whatever we are doing, actually Krishna is maintaining us. We should understand this very thoroughly. See, we may be manufacturing so many things. We may be transforming so many things. We may be doing so many things. We may be building roads. We are doing so many things. But that is not helping us to maintain our body. Our body is maintained by food grains. And that food grains, nobody in this world can produce. This earth is producing food grains, which is given by Krishna. This sun rays, if there is no sun rays, we'll die. This is given by Krishna. The water we are drinking is given by Krishna. So the actual maintenance of us, the body, is done by Krishna actually. So if we have cars, we have a lot of machinery, and we have no food grains, we will not survive actually. Can we eat nut bowls? Nobody can eat nut bowls. So whatever we are manufacturing in today's world is actually not helping us in our survival in any way. The big machineries, the big factories, the big whatever we call, actually is not helping us to survive anyway. How are we maintaining and surviving is by the natural things which we are getting free of cost from Krishna. So the earth, if we put some grains, the earth is not charging us that if you give me 2 crore rupees, then I will give grains. It's free. Afterwards, because of the cost or the labor or whatever it is, the farmers charge the the middleman and the middleman child, that is a different thing. So whatever things we need for our maintenance is given by Krishna for free. The water which we get is for free. It flows in the river, but then we may make dams and we are giving supply and then we are charging. The electricity, the power, we are charging. Otherwise, the sunlight is free. The air is free, the water is free, and what are basic things we need, like fruits or some cotton to make clothes and everything. The shelter, if you want to make house, the wood, for making the wood, is actually supplied free of cost. So there is no need for us to work so hard. But because of artificial standards which we have made in today's society, we are working so hard, so hard, so hard, just to maintain our status quo. That is the whole thing. And therefore, we should have this firm conviction that Krishna is maintaining us. And in that condition only we should work. The Supreme Personality of God is also by his planetary portions alive in the heart of every living entity. Only saintly persons who can see within and without the same Supreme Lord can actually attain to perfect and eternal peace. So, Supreme Personality of Godhead also stays as Paramatma in our heart. And if he is not there as Paramatma in our heart, actually we cannot do anything. So soul desires, the Paramatma sanctions, and the material nature conducts that thing. This will come in future chapters also, how the things go. So suppose we desire to have some things, like we want to build a building. Then the Paramatma will permit, okay, you have this karma or something, you can build a building. And the material nature will help, because all the raw ingredients comes from nature only. The cement, the heat, bricks, and all comes from nature. And that way, if it doesn't help, it will not work. And therefore, everything is necessary. And nothing can work without the sanction of Lord. So Nityo Nityanam Chetanas Chetananam Eko Bahunam Yo Vidadati Kaman Tam Atma Stam Yo Anupashyanti Dhiras Tesham Shanti Sashwan Netrasam. Kathopanishad 2.2.30. The same Vedic truth given to Arjuna is given to all persons in the world who pose themselves as very learned but factually have a very poor fund of knowledge. The Lord says clearly that he himself, Arjuna, and all the kings who are assembled on the battlefield are eternally individual beings, and that the Lord is eternally the maintainer of all the living entities, both in the conditioned and in the liberated situations. So two things are mentioned here. One is everybody is individual. So we'll never become God or nor will merge in the Lord. Some people say that after this life we'll become God, we'll merge into Lord, impersonal. That is not the truth. We'll always be individual, because otherwise there is no thing that all will exist in future also. Because if they are merging, then how will they exist in future? Because they are merged, then individual identity is lost. But Krishna is saying all will be existing in future. Therefore, no individual will lose his identity, and therefore we see everybody's individual and they will never merge in the Supreme, and they can never become God. And secondly, therefore there is no cause of lamentation. So therefore we should not lament for anybody, because they'll always be living. And Krishna is maintainer of all of them, even in the liberated situation or as well in the conditioned situation. So when we become liberated, when we are not this body, we understand we are spirit soul and we go to spiritual world, there also Krishna will maintain us. And now also in this material world, Krishna is maintaining us. So wherever we are, first of all, our individual is not lost, and Krishna is only our maintainer, and he will only maintain us. So these two things we should understand very nicely. The Mayavadi theory that after liberation, the individual soul, separated by the covering of Maya or illusion, will merge into the impersonal Brahman and lose its individual existence is not supported herein by Lord Krishna, the Supreme Authority. So this we have discussed. Nor is the theory that we only think of individuality in the conditioned state supported herein. So this, somebody may think that only in conditioned state, when we are in material world, we are different. but after we will become one. So this is also not supported, because it said in future we all be different individual souls. Krishna clearly says here that in the future also, all the individuality of the Lord and others, as it is confirmed in the Upanishads, will continue eternally. This statement of Krishna is authoritative because Krishna cannot be subject to illusion. So whatever Krishna is saying, we should accept as eternal truth, because Krishna is never illusion as we are. And therefore, whatever Krishna says is absolute. If individuality were not a fact, then Krishna would not have stressed it so much even for the future. The Mayavadi may argue that the individuality spoken of by Krishna is not spiritual but material. Even accepting that the argument that the individuality is material, then how can one distinguish Krishna's individuality? Krishna affirms his individuality in the past and confirms his individuality in the future also. So sometimes Mayavadi say that individuality of spoken of Krishna is not spiritual, but when he comes to material world, he is individual. But if that is so, then how can Krishna affirm his individual in the past also and also in future? Because either in the past, when he is not in coming material world, he may be one, or in the future, he may merge into others. So in both cases, individuality cannot be maintained. Therefore, the Mayavadi statement is not true, because Krishna says here that everybody will be individual, was individual in the past, is individual in the present, and will be also individual in the future. If he is accepted as an ordinary consciousness soul in individual consciousness, then his Bhagavad-Gita has no value as authority scripture. So also, if we understand that Krishna is an ordinary person, then what is the use of his speaking Bhagavad-Gita and we hearing him? So therefore, he is not an ordinary person. He is Supreme Personality of Godhead. A common man with all the four defects of human fatality is unable to teach that which is worth hearing. The Gita is above such literature. No mundane book compares with Bhagavad Gita. When one accepts Krishna as an ordinary man, the Gita loses all importance. So this book, Gita, cannot be compared to anybody. And we should understand that Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead, is not common person. If we think that Krishna is common person and this Gita is an ordinary book, then it will lose all its value. So we should have high regard for Krishna and Bhagavad Gita. The Mayavadi argues that the plurality mentioned in this verse is conventional and that it refers to the body. But previous to this verse, such a bodily conception already condemned. So Krishna in the last verse told that one should not lament for the body, and therefore this also does not fit here. After condemning the bodily conception of the living entities, how was it possible for Krishna to place a conventional proposition on the body again? Therefore, individuality is mentioned on spiritual grounds, and it is thus confirmed by great acharyas like Sri Ramanuja and others. It is clearly mentioned in many places in the Gita that this spiritual identity is understood by those who are devotees of the Lord. Those who are envious of Krishna as Supreme Personality of Godhead have no bona fide access to this great literature. So again, Pujit will come. If one is a devotee of Lord, or at least have faith that Krishna is Supreme Personality of God, he can understand Gita. If one is envious, or he has pride, or he has arrogance, he will not be able to understand Gita. He may read, but he will not be able to understand Gita. That is for sure. The non-devotee's approach of the teachings of Gita is something like that of a bee licking on the bottle of honey. Suppose a honey is kept in the jar of bottle, which is transparent. So if a honeybee comes and from outside he is trying to lick the honey, not able to taste, he can just see. Like this, the non-devotees will be able to have Bhagavad Gita in their hand, they will be able to read, but they will never ever be able to understand Bhagavad Gita. That is for sure. One cannot have a taste of honey unless one opens the bottle. Similarly, the mission of Bhagavad Gita cannot be understood, can be understood only by devotees. And no one else can taste it. It is stated in the 4th chapter of the book. It is stated in the 4th chapter of the book, nor can the Gita touch by persons who envy the very existence of Lord. So if one wants to taste the Gita, one has to open the one has to understand but by devotees. Like If one has to taste honey, one has to open the bottle of honey. So one who has envy or who does not support the existence of Lord will not be able to understand Bhagavad Gita. Therefore, the Mayavadi expression of Gita is most misleading presentation of whole truth. Lord Chaitanya has forbidden us to read commentations made by the Mayavadis and warns that one who takes to such an understanding of Mayavadi philosophy loses all power to understand the real mystery of the Gita. So what we hear and what we see is very important in our life. If we hear all the rubbish things, if we see all the rubbish in life, whatever will come out will be rubbish only. So we should be very careful of what we are hearing and what we are reading. If we read and hear books which are not authorized by our acharyas, then we'll be in big trouble. And in this material world, everybody follows this rule except the person who wants to follow spiritual path. See, have you ever seen a person who is practicing medical science? He is practicing doctor. He's in MBBS college, reading a book on engineering books and giving his exams. He will never do. He will read his college books, which is the medical books only. And that also for that subject matter. But when it comes to spirituality, everybody says, oh, read any book, read this book, read that book, and you'll become spiritual. So this is all fake. It cannot. Spirituality also is science like material science. So if one wants to grow spiritually, he has to read books which are helpful to him in a particular way. And that also in sequence. Like we talked last time also, a school student cannot understand a PhD book. It may be the same subject that also, but still he will not be able to understand because he has not developed that level still now, and he has to grow steadily and slowly, going to one book after another. So this is very, very much appreciated and applied in material circles. But when it comes to spirituality, what will happen is one will hear anybody on the YouTube, one will read any book, and they'll also tell, oh, you read this book, this is very nice for you, this is very understanding, and I have grown spiritually. What have we grown spiritually? How can we grow? It's not possible. And therefore, this requires great care and caution of what we are hearing and what we are reading. We cannot go to the YouTube, we cannot go to internet and search for some books and read whatever I want and then say, oh, I have grown spiritual. No. After some time, we'll know that we have gone nowhere and we'll always be confused. So therefore, we should understand this very nicely, that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has forbidden us to read commentaries made by Mayavadis, and therefore we should not take to such understanding. Otherwise, we'll not be able to understand the real mystery. Once the poison enters, once the wrong thing enters, then it's very difficult for us to go on the right path. And we have seen so many people going on the wrong path because of wrong hearing. So therefore, we should be very careful, very, very careful. So once time is lost permanently, and then we cannot come back. We should very much understand these things. So once we develop wrong habits, it takes years and years to have correct habits. Like somebody is sick because of wrong posture of the body. So to correct the posture is not an easy thing. It takes so many years to correct exercise and so many things to correct the body posture. So like this, if the wrong philosophy enters in our heart and mind and brain, it takes long time to correct the philosophy and everything. And therefore, we should be very, very careful of what we are reading and hearing. Otherwise, we cannot blame anybody for our misfortune of not reaching our goal. If individuality refers to the imperial universe, then there is no need of teaching by the Lord. The plurality of the individual soul and of the Lord is an eternal fact, and that is confirmed by the Vedas as above mentioned. So again, if it refers to the universe that everything is one, then there is no need of Gita, because if universe and everything is one, then whom are going to teach this Bhagavad Gita to? And therefore, we should understand that the spirit soul and the Lord are different individuals and is an eternal fact, and they will never ever become one. And therefore, the Mayada philosophy that individual soul can become one with Lord is never ever acceptable. This we should be very thorough of. Otherwise, we'll not be able to understand Bhagavad Gita. So,